Hey guys, somebody messaged me on chess.com and said, you should make a video about the Haxo Gambit. And I said, what is the Haxo Gambit? I looked it up and they're right. I should have made a video on this a long time ago. It's actually a very clever, tricky opening that you can play as white. It comes out of the Scotch Gambit, which we'll talk about more in just a second. But lots of tricks, lots of traps, and I'm even going to show you what you can do if they don't fall for the tricks and traps to still get into a good and solid position. So if you're an E4 player as white, you're going to want to watch this video. We're going to cover all of these lines in depth. It's going to be kind of like an in-depth guide to playing this Haxo Gambit. So thank you to Big Konuk who sent me the message on chess.com recommending that I do this video. Appreciate that. And having said that, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so first things first, we're going to play E4, and on E5, we can go into what's called the Scotch game. Okay, the Scotch game is knight to F3, attacking the pawn, and by far, knight to C6 is what you're going to see, and the move D4 is known as the Scotch game. Now, when you play the Scotch game, most everybody's going to take this pawn. There's not a lot of other moves that make any kind of sense for black. Like, for example, if you just try to defend this pawn, well, now we can just simply trade, and if black doesn't want to lose their pawn here on E5, they have to take back with the king, which means already on move, what are we on, move 5, they can't castle. And we're going to simply just develop our pieces, castle queenside, the rook gets involved, attacks the king. It's very pleasant for white and just a slight advantage without really having to do anything out of the opening. So most people aren't going to do that. Most people are going to take here. And I'll actually go ahead and turn on the database over here. And sorry, not that one, this one. And you guys can see E takes D4 is played 25 million times in this position out of 29 million games. Okay, so basically everybody's going to take the pawn. And when they do, let me turn this off for a second. We're going to play bishop to c4. This is what's known as the Scotch Gambit. Now, why is it called the Scotch Gambit? Well, right now we have the opportunity to take this pawn back if we want. We have two pieces. It's only defended one time. And this would be going into the main line of the Scotch game. However, if we say, nope, I don't want that pawn right away, and we play bishop c4, well, now we've given black the opportunity to defend the pawn. And we can no longer take it back, hence why it's called the Scotch Gambit when we play bishop c4. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to play the Scotch Gambit, and black actually has two main replies here. Let me turn the database back on for you. You can see knight to f6 is played 2.1 million times from this position, and then bishop c5 is a close second, played 1.7 million times. So if they play knight to f6, we're going to come back to this maybe in a future video. We're not going to talk about that in this video, but bishop c5, I just want you to see it is played a lot of the time. Okay, so they go here, they're trying to defend their pawn. So what are we going to do? There's two ways you can play this, and they're both very good, and they both have different tricks and traps available. So you can choose whichever one you like. My personal recommendation is going to be playing c3. I think it's a little bit more solid, but knight to g5 is also a very interesting try. So I'm going to show you knight to g5 first, and then we'll come back and talk about my recommendations with c3. So knight to g5 creates a very simple threat on f7. We're like, all right, let's go ahead. We have a fork if they let us, or we can take it with the bishop, check, the king can't castle, both of which look very nice. So what is black going to do? Well, there's two primary responses. Knight to e5, which attacks our bishop, but also defends that pawn, and knight to h6, which also defends the pawn. Now, which one do you think your opponents are most likely going to play? Well, the most common move is actually knight to h6, but a lot of people also play knight to e5. And this is actually already falling into one of your traps. Okay, so if you would like to pause and see if you can find what's the trap here, why is this a trap for black? All right, well, if you had a chance to do that, here is the trap. We take here on f7. It's a fork. So black has to deal with this. They can't ignore this. We're attacking the queen, we're attacking the rook, we're attacking the knight. They're going to take. We take with check. They're going to take us back and think, hey, I just want a piece. But we have the follow-up, wait for it, queen to h5 check, which is forking this bishop over here. They have to do something about their king. Let's just say g6, and we take the bishop. And not only do we get our piece back, but black's king is now in trouble. They can't castle. It's exposed. And this is, Stockfish is saying plus 3.1 for white. I'll just turn that on so you can see that real quick. Sorry, not that one. Plus 3.1, Stockfish loves this position for white. So that's kind of one of the ideas. Now, the better move for black, instead of knight to e5, is if they play knight to h6. But what you can do here is also the same thing. We take, and they take, and we take, and we go for the fork. And then they do something, and then we take the bishop. What's the difference? If you remember from the last position, the knight was over here on g8, now it's here on c6. So I want you to look carefully. If I flip between these, see this? It's not like the exact same position, except the knight's position is different. Okay, and that actually makes a huge difference. It's actually much better for black here than over here. It's almost like if you took that other position and you gave black a couple of free moves, right, to get the knight there. So keep that in mind. It's not as good, but it's still an equal position. You can play on from here, something like d6. They might attack your queen. You can go check and bring your queen back. The game goes on. It's pretty equal. You're probably going to castle, get your pieces out. Black's king has to figure out where it's going to find safety. There's nothing wrong with this. Okay, so I just want you to be aware, if you like that trick, okay, and you like this idea of playing knight to g5, by all means, go ahead and have fun with that one. However, I'm going to recommend the move c3 instead. Like I said, I think it's a little bit more solid, and there's even more tricks in this line. So when you play c3, the threat is that we're just going to take back the pawn and get two nice pawns in the center. For example, if black just kind of ignores you, plays a move like d6, you just take it. You attack the bishop, you have two nice pawns. Yes, they can put you in check, but we don't really care. You bring our knight out and we're fine, okay? So instead of d6, there's two things that might happen. Most common is going to be that they're going to take your pawn, because otherwise, like we talked about, you're going to take it back. So most people are going to take. And now what you can do is play another little trick. If you would like to pause, what do you think the best move for white is here? You might be able to find this one if you remember the previous line. All right, if you had a chance to look at that, the move is bishop takes f7 check, and when they take you, you hit him with queen to d5 check. So this is the second time we're seeing this fork idea with the queen forking this bishop, right? And this is a good idea to remember. When you play e4, e5 openings, okay, e4, e5 openings where your bishop is on c4 and your opponent ever plays the move bishop c5, you always want to be thinking about tactics like this. Okay, we saw it in the other line where the queen went to h5 for the fork. And now we're seeing it here where the queen goes to d5 for the fork. But these are the kind of tactics you want to pay attention to, okay? And after we do this, we take here. And again, it's a good position for us. Yes, black can take here. They have a couple extra pawns, but we don't really care. Our bishop is involved. Our queen is very active. Sorry, our queen is very active. And black cannot castle. And for the rest of the game, they have to worry about their king. We're going to castle. Our king's going to be nice and safe. So much more fun and easy to play as white, okay? So that's the first little idea, right? If they take the pawn, they're kind of in trouble already. So the better move, okay, if they know a little bit about what they're doing, they're probably going to play the move knight to f6. This is the strongest move according to Stockfish. And what I recommend you play against this is the move e5. And by the way, if you're getting overwhelmed with some of these lines, I'm going to put like a PGN or something in the description. You can copy and paste that into like a chess.com or Lichess analysis board, and you'll be able to easily go through all this stuff. So don't worry about that, okay? Just try to focus on the ideas. So we're going to play e5. We're going to attack that knight right away. Now, if black is smart and they understand these types of positions, or if they're just a high-rated player, they're going to play the move d5. And this is kind of a common idea. When your knight's attacked, you play d5 and you counterattack the bishop. Okay, and then we would probably move our bishop away. They would play knight to e4. We would capture. The game goes on, and you get something like this. And it's a relatively equal position. Slight advantage for white. Pretty easy to play, but both sides don't really have too many problems. Okay, however, most people, well, I shouldn't say most people, a lot of people who don't know this idea are going to look for ways to deal with this attack on their knight. And they're either going to play knight to e4, knight to g4, or queen to e7. And if they play any of those three moves, any of those, they're in trouble. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with, we'll start with knight to g4. It looks pretty logical. Like, okay, let's save the knight. Let's attack the pawn. Why wouldn't I do that? Here's what we're going to play. Bishop takes f7 check. They take us. Knight to g5 check, and what we're doing is unleashing our queen to capture this knight. And there's actually a secondary trap here that I'll see if you guys can find. If they play the move king to g8, what should we play as white? And by the way, this position has been reached 5,000 times, in case you're wondering. All right, if you had a chance to look at that, the move is queen to b3 check, and black is actually getting checkmated. They're getting checkmated. If they move here, the game is over. If they don't do that, they have to play d5 to block. We en passant with check again. The only thing they can do is delay it one more time, and then they still get checkmated on f7. So that's a nice little trap. Like I said, 5,000 players have fallen for that. So keep that one in the back of your mind. Now, if they're smarter or they know that trap, they will play the move king to e8 instead, in which case we take the knight. They might play d6 attacking your queen, and now you would play e6. You block off the bishop. You have knight to f7. You have queen to h5. Maybe castling. So many good moves here for white. it's a nightmare to play as black, and they're holding on with every move to not get checkmated or just lose some material. So lots of fun. I definitely recommend that. Now, remember, as a reminder, if we play c3 and they play the best move knight to f6, we attack the knight, and we just looked at what happens if they play knight to g4. Okay, you sacrifice the bishop, you bring your knight in. The other option is knight to e4. They try to go more towards the center. What I recommend you play here is bishop to d5, attacking the knight. And where's it gonna go? You can't go here, you can't go here, you can't go there because the bishop is there. You can't take this. Basically, the knight is trapped, is what I'm trying to show you. Anywhere that it goes, we'll take it. So what is black going to do instead? Most people decide to sacrifice it and then take here to unleash their bishop. If this happens, what I recommend you do is actually play king to g3. And this looks kind of crazy. And remember, everything is down in the description, so you don't have to memorize all this right now. But what you're doing is saying, thank you very much for my piece. Takes, and then you're going to play h3. And you're just going to tuck your king over here on h2. You're up a piece. You have 4 pieces. Black only has 3. And this is actually a winning position for white. Okay, it's just a better endgame for white. It's not really an endgame. It's still a middle game, but it's winning for white. All right, so that's on knight to e4. Okay, you have to remember the move bishop to d5. Okay, so we've looked at knight to g4. We've looked at knight to e4, and we saw what to do. The other option is queen to e7. They say, you know what? I'm going to pin your pawn so that you can't take my knight. If they do that, we simply castle, and guess what? We're threatening it again because now our king is no longer in the pin. And so what most people do is say, well, thank you very much. I have 2 pieces attacking that pawn. I'll just take it. We take it, and when they take back, boom, we pin the queen with our rook on e1. However, there's a very important line you have to remember here, okay? Knight to e4, they block it off. And in a lot of cases, when this happens, you would play a move like f3 to attack the knight because it can't move because you take the queen and you're going to take it. However, in this case, it's a huge blunder because of the move d takes c3 check, right? And when we save our king, there's a couple of things that could go wrong. Knight to f2 forks our king and our queen. Also, c takes b2 is a fork here, and we're actually in trouble, okay? So what you need to remember, and this is why I'm putting the line down in the description so you can follow along and review this one. You're going to want to review this one. You need to remember the move queen to e2. Line up on the knight. They're going to try to defend it, most likely with d5. And then you need to capture here, forking these guys. And the reason, it's complicated, I'll give you that, but it's winning for white. The reason is that if they take you, you're going to take, and at the end of the day, when the dust settles, you come out up a piece. We have 2 pieces, black only has 1 piece and a pawn, and this is winning for white. Okay, same thing when you play d4. If they take you with the queen, you just do a bishop e3, a bunch of trades, and you come out winning a piece this way. So if you can't remember all that, don't worry, it's in the description. Check it out later. The point and the key takeaway that you need to remember, going all the way back here, is that after e5, if they play queen to e7, all you need to do is castle, and this is a winning position for white. Okay, because black still has the same problem that the knight is in trouble. Okay, so hopefully that helps you guys. To recap, okay, and summarize this, we play the Scotch game, we go into the Scotch Gambit, and when they play bishop c5, you've got 2 options, c3 and knight to g5. If you like the knight to g5 trick that I showed you, go ahead and go for it. Or c3, you will also get a lot of people capturing here with this trick, and if they know what they're doing and play knight to f6, you simply attack that guy, and then if they're smart, they'll play d5. Otherwise, they'll fall for one of the traps that we just mentioned. And if they do play, d5, you simply play bishop b5, and you get a relatively equal game like this. All right, guys, that's the Haxo Gambit. Let me know down below, please, what questions you have, if I missed anything, and when I do a follow-up video, part 2 or whatever, I will, try to cover those. All right. Thank you, and I will see you guys next time. As always, stay sharp, play smart, and take care.